All right, my friends, lump sum or pension? That's a question I get a lot, as a matter of fact. And I had a guy email me that today from Illinois, and I forgot his first name, or else I'd say it. But anyway, so let's talk about this. It's actually pretty easy to calculate once you start thinking about it, how it works. So, all right, so with a company pension, let's just use, you want to put it on how much will you get per $100,000. All right, that's what you got. Oh, does this cross trigger you? Had a guy comment, he had a hard time. Oh, look at that. It looks fantastic with sunshine on that cross. Oh, wonderful. He had a hard time. He said, I can't concentrate when you have that stick, otherwise known as a cross. He just said it triggers me, but it makes me not able to focus. I was like, well, that's your problem, man. You've let an inanimate object keep your ability to focus. It's just a cross, man. It doesn't. If it doesn't mean anything to you, then why do you let it bother you? Oh, the idea that the Christian cross can trigger people just cracks me up. We are really raising a generation of tough guys, that's for sure. Oh my goodness, it's a stop sign. I'm triggered. For the love of me, man, lighten up, and then recognize if you don't believe in Christianity, then why would you care? I just don't get it. All right, anyway, back to the topic at hand. So what you want to do is you want to say, for every $100,000, how much am I getting on this pension? And it's actually simple. So you say, okay, I got $100,000, it's paying me $5,000 a year. All right, now we're going to assume it's for joint and survivor life. That just means for you and your surviving spouse, you'll both get paid for as long as one of y'all are breathing. All right, so that's where we're just going to start with. Now, the question is, how much can I get from that from another a private insurance company? We'll say USAA or New York Life or something like that. And you might be able to get 5.5%. We'll just use that for an example. So if I say I got a $500,000 pension, and that means I'm getting $25,000, a $500,000 amount I could roll over, That means I could convert that to a pension, and it pays me $25,000 a year on my $500,000. Well, USAA would pay me more than that. Let's say $30,000 a year or something like that. Which means in that case, there's an immediate arbitrage right there, right out of the gate. I could take my $500,000 as a lump sum, roll it to an IRA, and then use that over at USAA and generate an extra $5,000 a year. Does that make sense? So you've got to do two things. You've got to look at what your prevailing rate is, your payout rate. In this case, we just gave an example of $5,000 a year. And then you got to look at what the payout rates are on other private annuities. Now, the interesting thing is most likely the payout rate on your company annuity will be much higher pension than it would be on a private company. And the reason for that is because of what's called mortality tables, mortality credits. Your company has a shorter life expectancy for the employees in there because they're older. Some are going to be less healthy than the general population as a whole. So if you look at a private pension versus everything else being the same, a private insurance company, the private insurance company is going to most likely pay you out less. I'd be willing to predict that happens vast more often than not, actually. So you know most likely that your pension will pay out more than a private company annuity. I hope that makes sense. And it really just comes down to what's called mortality credits. And I don't want to get too deep in that. But it's still worth the effort of taking your pension amount and comparing it to a private contract. What pays more? If your private company pays more than your pension, that's not good. That means your pension is poor. There's no other way around that. If your pension pays more than the private company, and that might probably be the case, I would be hard pressed to think that won't be the case the vast majority of the time. Now you got to say, okay, what does it pay out? There's an article, a video that Big Al and what's his name over at Pure Financial Advisors, and I'm a fan of what their YouTube channel actually. Big Al, he's a CPA, and I can't remember the guy's name, but I like them because they talk the taxes, which a lot of people don't. I think Big Al's more the tax guy, and the other guy's more of the just the investment guy. But I like him. I like what they do, and they did a video on this not too long ago, and I 100% disagree with their assessment actually. So what they said is essentially if you can get if you can get more than 8% as a payout ratio on your pension, you should take it. If you get less than 8%, you shouldn't. And actually I think Big Al was even saying if you get less than 7%, you shouldn't, which I'm more attuned to for sure. But I think that the president guy, the taller guy, I think he was saying if you get 8% or more on your pension, you should take that. And I disagree with that. I think if you can get 6.5% or more on your pension, you roll with that as opposed to taking it as a lump sum and investing it. So in this case, let's say I got $100,000 as my pension, but I could roll that to my IRA or I could annuitize it. And if I annuitize it as a pension, I get $6,500 a year. All right, that's a 6.5% payout rate. Again, we're assuming joint and life survivor. That's pretty good, man. You're gonna be hard stretched to beat that in the markets for sure. Now, remember, the annuity / pension pays a principal. All right, so it's principal and income. It's not a 6.5% interest rate. But I mean, you're still gonna be hard pressed to beat that. If you can get 6.5% when you run the numbers on your pension, I would say I'd take the pension without question. And again, I want to make sure you design it so you have a 20-year period certain. So joint and life survivor annuity with a 20-year period certain. I've got tons of videos on that specifically. If you're getting less than 6.5%, I might roll that out. I might take a lump sum and roll that out to an IRA and then invest it yourself. But if you get 6.5% or more, I'm taking the pension 90 times out of 100, unless I need some kind of liquidity. Because just remember, the drawback about a pension, there is no liquidity. You don't have access to $30,000 lump sum to buy a new motorcycle or anything like that. So that is the drawback about a pension or any kind of annuity. It pays an income stream that you can't outlive, but it also pays an income stream that you can't tap into, which can be problematic. Thus, you want to make sure the income stream that it pays out is worth it enough for you not to roll it into a lump sum as an IRA where you have access to it. So anyway, going back to the equation, the average payout rate right now for a joint and life survivor annuity for a husband and wife who are 65 years old is between 5.5% and 6% on a private annuity. So going to USA, going to MetLife or something like that, I can get between 5.5% to 6% on a private annuity, an immediate annuity is what I'm talking about. If I can't get that on my pension, there's no way I'm taking that as a pension. No way. I'm rolling it out to an IRA. Absolutely. If I'm getting 7%, I'm taking that as a pension 100% of the time, without question. Again, unless I need the liquidity for some reason. So if I got $100,000 and I'm able to get $7,000, I'm taking that as a pension. If I got $500,000 and I'm able to get $35,000 a year, I'm taking it as a pension. If I got $500,000 and I'm only able to get $25,000 a year, I'm taking it as a lump sum. Hope that makes sense. Just simply because that's not enough. That's not even, your company's pension doesn't even compete with private annuities, and because that's just not worth. It's just not worth it. So that's how you always look at annuities versus the pensions. The same thing. You look at them the same way. You look at them as the payout ratio. The amount of money you are getting on a monthly basis divided into the lump sum you're putting in. And if you can put it in $100,000 increments, it makes it that much easier. But let's just say again, you got $500,000. I'm getting $35,000 a year into $500,000. 35 goes into, or 100,000 goes into 35,000 7 times. Does that make sense? So I'm getting 7%. It would be 35,000 to 500. So I got $35,000 what I'm getting. I got a $500,000 lump sum. So 500,000 goes into 7%. That's how you figure out it. That's a 7% payout rate. That's a smoking deal, and I take that the vast majority of time. If I get 25,000 and I have 500,000 as a lump sum, 500,000 goes to 25,000 5 times, 5% of the time. That's 5%, and that's not good. You don't want a 5% payout. You want a 6, you want a 7. I'd say the break-even point is probably 6.5. So you definitely want to look at a 6.5% payout rate before you even start looking at taking the annuity as opposed to the lump sum. Just my thoughts. Hope this helps. We'll see you.